Hello everyone, GoldenNova here. In an attempt to finish my coverage of the Magical Hero set in time for its release, I've decided to combine all the protagonist cards into their own dedicated videos this week. While the release date for your local game store was yesterday, Magical Hero is available across all stores today, and I can't think of a greater promoter for a set that celebrates the history of this game's most storied characters than with the consummate performer himself, Yuya Sakaki, the foremost entertainment duelist. And also a vessel for an evil dragon god bent on enslaving the multiverse, but let's put that one aside for now. Of all the protagonists, Yuya has probably had the largest impact on competitive play. Some of his more powerful performer pals built the backbone of the deck that ruled the infamous PePe format, abusing the power of Pendulum to swarm the field without incurring any restrictions, giving them access to some of the most powerful cards in the format, including using Tellarknight Tolmaeus to summon the oppressive Cyber Dragon Infinity. And while they don't make an anime appearance to my knowledge, the Pendulum Magicians that represent the Dimensional Dragons are Yuya cards in my eyes, and they've been in the competitive sphere for quite some time, picking up new additions from across the Pendulum spectrum to bolster their ranks. But with such storied histories, can these new cards stand shoulder to shoulder with their contemporaries? Time to find out. Let's swing into action! It's time to review Yuya's support in Magical Hero. Smile Action is a field spell that, when activated, has each player banishing up to 5 spells from their graveyard face down. Then, when a monster attacks, the player on the receiving end has the option to randomly add one of those banished spells to their hand, at which point they can either discard the card to negate the attack, or keep the card and take double battle damage for the rest of the turn. This is peak entertainment dueling, a completely untenable effect that's unreliable at best, but incredibly exciting to see resolve. And it doesn't just emulate the feeling mechanically, but also with the card's art, showing the start of Arc V's exclusive action duels. The part of the effect that discards a spell to negate an attack works much like a number of action cards that can be found during one of those duels. It'd be interesting to see in a burn deck, or any other win condition that doesn't interact with your opponent, using this card to cycle through a bunch of spells, banishing them with Smile Action in the hopes of either recycling them or just keeping their opponent from resolving an attack. But aside from that, I'd keep it purely to fun decks. Odd Eye's Wizard Dragon is interesting. You can summon it from your hand by attributing a dark monster as cost, and then sending an Odd Eye's Dragon from your hand, deck, or your side of the field to the graveyard as part of the effect. No, not Odd Eye's Pendulum Dragon, but the pre-Pendulum version. Also, if Wizard Dragon is destroyed by an opponent's card, you can special summon one Odd Eyes monster from your deck or graveyard, and then you can add a Spiral Flame Strike from your deck to your hand, which may as well be a delayed way of saying, and also destroy one card on the field. From what I researched, it looks like Wizard Dragon is supposed to be the dark version of Odd Eye's Saber Dragon, but the fact that you need to play regular Odd Eye's Dragon to gain access to this is strictly prohibitive. Like, if you're yearning to play a Yuya deck with all your Performa pals and Odd Eyes, are you going to pick the dragon that's in like one episode? Or are you going to want to play his ace monster that morphs into a bunch of different ones? I just don't get it. If you like it, go for it, but for me, it's a hard pass. Next is Pendulum Dimension, a continuous trap that's good generic support for any Pendulum theme looking to use multiple extra deck types. And by that, I mean DDD are going to like it. While it's face up on the field and you summon a Fusion, Synchro, or Xyz monster using a Pendulum monster as material, you can activate the appropriate effect once per turn. If it's a Fusion monster, you can summon another monster from your deck that has a matching level in defense position, but its effects are negated. Hey, that sounds like a setup for an Xyz play. If you Xyz summon, you can take a tuner from your deck that has a level lower than the monster's rank, and either add it to your hand or special summon it. And if I'm not mistaken, that sounds like you've set up a Synchro play. If you Synchro summon, you can add one Polymerization from your deck to your hand and... Wait, really? Just vanilla Polymerization? That's... Yeah, I guess don't worry too much about Synchro summoning, but the first two effects are pretty solid. I mean, call me out if I'm missing cool interactions from other themes, but this seems to slot right into the DDD game plan. You can Fusion summon for Flame High King Genghis, and once Pendulum Dimension resolves, summon either Savant Thomas or Abyss Ragnarok, That will trigger Genghis to summon another DDD, at which point you can overlay Genghis and your negated Pendulum monster to summon Duo Dawn King Kali Yuga, at which point you can search the excellent tuner options the theme has to offer. It's just a real shame that it's a trap card. I could have given it a hearty recommendation if it were a continuous spell, but as a trap, it's a little slow for recent competitive formats. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here, but Performapal Popper-Up is going to see play in a wide variety of decks that just want to cycle through cards no matter the cost. When you activate it, you send up to 3 cards from your hand to the graveyard, and then draw that many cards. Then, you special summon up to that many monsters from your hand, as long as they are Performapals, Magician Pendulum monsters, or Odd Ice monsters with different names, whose levels all fit between your active Pendulum scales. If you can't do that, you lose 1,000 life points for each card that's in your hand on resolution. Now, the card lacks any real restrictions, and unless I'm missing something where you need to have scales to activate the effect, you're looking at a card that resolves as a -1, but digs you 3 cards deeper into your deck and enables cards with graveyard effects, though importantly not ones with discard triggers. Nowadays, people will pay 4,000 life points without batting an eye for a dragon in the advanced stages of Necrosis, so I doubt decks that don't run any of the required monsters will care to lose a similar amount of life points for card cycling. I mean, it doesn't have a Pot of Extravagance restriction, so you can play out as many cards from your hand as you want to lower the damage. And if you are a Pendulum deck that's running a lot of the Pendulum Magicians, this is just an easy way to put more material on the board while also sculpting your hand. This card has the potential to be super nuts, and I can't wait to see what people do with it. Lastly, we have the reincarnation of the Supreme King Zark themselves, Performapal Celestial Magician. They're a level 4 Dark Spellcaster Pendulum monster with 1500 attack and 1000 defense, with a scale of 8. As a Pendulum spell, when exactly one face-up Fusion, Synchro, or Xyz monster you control that was special summoned from the extra deck is destroyed by your opponent, you can special summon that monster right back, and then you destroy Celestial Magician. As a monster, if it was normal or special summoned this turn, you can activate its effect during the main phase to apply some conditions for the rest of the turn, each one dependent on having another monster on the field with a particular card type. For Pendulums, you get to add any Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand during the end phase. For Fusion, Celestial Magician can attack directly. For Xyz, Celestial's attack becomes double its original attack. And for Synchro, your opponent can't activate monster effects. Oh no. Oh no. Celestial Magician harnessed the power of Clearwing Synchro Dragon, but it just ended up being another Azathoth! I mean, Pendulum decks already have Mystical Beast Jackal King, so they're already pretty much locking people out of their monster effects. But this does mean that any deck that focuses on Synchro Summoning has the option of running this to keep them safe from Nibiru before their summon count gets out of control. I wouldn't be surprised to see this as a one-of addition to Pendulum decks, working both as a potential way to work through monster effects and a way to protect some of their extra deck investments. And also as a way to cheap shot for 1500 or 3000 damage when time is close. Gotta respect the time rules. So that about wraps up all of the new Yuya cards. If it works the way I think it does, Popper-Up is going to have some insane impact on the metagame. Though, to be fair, no one's talking about it like people are talking about Dragon of Red Eyes. Celestial Magician will likely see some niche play, but all of the other cards are going to be relegated to exhibition duels. And hey, that's not bad. Yuya was all about playing for fun and making decisions that might not have been strategically optimal, but maximized excitement, and these fun cards do an excellent job of conveying that. Except for Wizard Dragon. Just maybe don't play Wizard Dragon. If you're interested in picking up these cards to carve the Arc of Victory, and if you liked the video, I would be eternally grateful if you used my TCG Player affiliate link down below to collect any of the cards that are currently available, or to pre-order any of the cards coming out in Magical Hero if pre-orders are still available. These legendary duelist sets tend to have a few short prints that are difficult to pull, and get outrageously expensive as singles down the line. So if you're worried that your favorite cards will get that treatment, I'd highly recommend locking them in now to avoid the hassle. Every purchase, like, comment, and subscription is a contribution to helping build the channel so I can keep making the videos that I love and sharing them with all of you. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.